The Pittsburgh Penguins are already 18 games into their season this year. There's been a bunch of mixed results, some very good, some very bad. Let's talk about what I think Kyle Dubas should go out and do to help this Penguins team reach the playoffs and have their best chance at another Stanley Cup. So far, we've seen Sidney Crosby hold off Father Time once again, and he's showing no signs of slowing down. Through the first 18 games of the regular season, he's leading the entire league in even strength points, with Jake Guentzel being number 2 in the league in even strength points. He sits at 22 points, and Jake Guentzel sits at 21. Evgeny Malkin's the other player on the team that's a point per game so far with 18 points in 18 games, and Erik Karlsson's currently sitting at 17 points in 18 games. Riley Smith cooled down from his little bit of a smoking hot start. He's at 12 points in 18 games, but he's still doing great. Brian Rust is another one in the top 6 that's doing great, but someone else that needs to pick up the slack is Rickard Rakell, which is going to be harder now that he's on LTIR. I love Rickard Rakell. I think that's one of the only good moves that Ron Hextall made in his entire tenure here. But the thing with it is he only has 4 assists in 17 games so far this season, and now he's on LTIR. Whoever's playing with Evgeny Malkin needs to put up more points than that, needs to put up more goals, needs to put up more assists. It's the bottom line. I love Rickard Rakell, but something needs to change. I don't know if he needs to go up to Sid's line, or maybe he just needs a new change of scenery in general, but something needs to change there. I think that's something that Kyle Dubas needs to address if Rickard Rakell comes back and isn't doing good. But the issue with waiting of him to come back is that he has to miss at least 24 days in 10 regular season games, and that's a big chunk of the season to not have another top 6 winger. Right now, at the time of recording this, with Brian Rust being out and Rickard Rakell being out, the two top 6 right wingers are currently Drew O'Connor and Alex Nylander. I do think Alex Nylander is a decent fit on Malkin's line, but I don't like Drew O'Connor being in the top 6 on the first line. Don't get me wrong, he's a great forechecker and brings a lot to the team, but he shouldn't be put in a top 6 role. Depending on how long Rickard Rakell's out, Kyle Dubas definitely needs to go out and make a change for a top 6 right winger at some point. While we're done talking about the top 6 issues, let's go ahead and talk about the bottom 6 issues. An issue with the Penguins last year is that their bottom 6 was atrocious defensively and they couldn't score. So this offseason, Kyle Dubas went out and got bottom 6 members who still can't score very well, but they're very good defensively. And I do think that it's paying off a little bit. Their penalty kill is doing very well so far this season, and that's not something that should be understated whatsoever. But the issue with that is with a bottom 6 with not much scoring depth, it can really lead to some games where there is just no scoring at all, and that's something that needs to be helped as well. The normal third line of Lars Eller, Drew O'Connor, and Radim Zohorna has been doing pretty decently so far this year. They chip in every couple games, and that's something that shouldn't be understated whatsoever. But that fourth line of Noel Acciari, Matt Nieto, and Vinny Hinostroza / Jeff Carter isn't doing very well. Noel Acciari just scored his first goal of the year, which I'm very happy about. He's looked like a completely different player so far, and I think he finally got comfortable in games. I really want to love Matt Nieto. He seems like a great guy, but so far he just isn't producing on the fourth line. Something could be changed there, and I kind of hope that they swap him out at some point. Realistically, when you look at the team, their third line should probably be their fourth line, even though I think Lars Eller is still a very capable third line center. I think the overall line should probably be a fourth line on a contending team, and we've kind of seen that more recently in the last couple games where they've played the Golden Knights, the Devils, and the Rangers. The Penguins have kept up with them very well overall, but just little things need to change to truly put them over the top and put them into that top group of players on the entire league. One group of players that I don't think really needs to be worried about is the goaltending. So far, through 14 games, Tristan Jarry is 6 wins, 8 losses, and has a .916 save percentage. In that time, he also has 3 shutouts so far, which is leading. He's looked amazing some games, and then he's had other games where he's looked abysmal. It's just kind of the Tristan Jarry experience. When he's hot, and when he's not, and there's really no in between. Alex Nedeljkovic has come in and been a perfect backup for Tristan Jarry. Yes, he was injured, but in the 3 games he has played, he has a 2-1 record and a .944 save percentage with 1 shutout. He is a much more reliable backup than Casey DeSmith ever was, and if he keeps up his hot streak of play, he could potentially become a challenger for the starting position, but I do think that's a little bit far off. We saw how amazing he can be in Carolina, and we can also see how low he can go in Detroit, but I do think he's in more of his Carolina form right now, and he's looking amazing so far when he's in net.
One major issue that definitely needs to change is the power play. They're doing horrible so far. Everyone thought when they brought in Erik Karlsson that he would come in and be this elite power play quarterback, and he's looked like it, but the issue is the other players on the ice don't cooperate very well with the type of power play that he likes to run. The issue is when you have that much Hall of Fame talent on the ice, They all think that they know what's best for the power play. But at the end of the day, their strategy of what they're doing just isn't clicking. I don't know if a coaching change necessarily needs to happen with Todd Reirden, but I do think that letting him go could be what lights the fire under them to get the power play finally going.
Realistically, I think they need to let Erik Karlsson take full charge of the power play and not try and slow him down or stop him, whatever. Do what he tells you to do, and goals will go in. We've seen it time and time again when he was in Ottawa and when he was with the Sharks. The Sharks were abysmal the past couple seasons, but in those seasons where the Sharks were bad, he did amazing leading the power play. When you have that much talent, your power play shouldn't be sitting at 25th or lower in the league in total power play percentage. And right now, I think that's the Penguins' biggest problem. They're losing games because of it, and it's not looking good. Last game, against the New York Rangers, they had 5 power play opportunities, and all they needed to do was put one in to tie the game and potentially win the game, because the game ended up being 1-0. If they could have just got one goal on one of their power play opportunities, they would have been set for that game. But instead, they looked like a discombobulated mess, and everything was bad. They couldn't properly get set up. They couldn't properly get shots through. Everything that could have possibly gone wrong with the power play went wrong. And realistically, I think this is the biggest problem right now. I don't know if Kyle Dubas should fire Todd Reirden, like I said earlier, or maybe try and sign a free agent or get a trade to bring in someone that really knows the power play as well to just help get it going. Part of me really hopes that Kyle Dubas goes out and gets a good net front presence for the power play, because that's what's severely lacking right now. They're getting some shots on net depending on the game with the power play. But the issue is the goalie can read it the entire way because no one's going in and blocking his vision, and that's something that's becoming a big problem and more evident as the games go on. A lot of the Penguins don't like to go to the front of net and go to those dirty areas where they need to win puck battles, and that's something that's really hurting them so far into the season. But on the other regard, the penalty kills looked amazing so far. They've done very good so far, and they've even put up one shorthanded goal so far, courtesy of Lars Eller. So far, they've been the one being a difference maker. And if they can get the power play going and the penalty kill still going strong at the same time, they're going to be a buzzsaw of a team, and there's going to be no slowing them down. I'm recording this on Black Friday, and as I'm looking at it right now, the Pittsburgh Penguins are 9 points behind the New York Rangers for first place in the Metro, and they're only 4 points behind the second place Washington Capitals. That's an easily obtainable way to get to the top. Realistically, the Capitals are going to fall off at some point again here. They've been a wagon so far, but they're old, and eventually that's going to catch up to them. Yes, the Penguins are too, but I think the Capitals are a much worse built team than the Penguins are. Things kind of look bad when you look at them right now. They're third to the bottom of the standings, but they're not that far out. The Islanders are only 1 point above them, and then the Flyers are only 3 points above them, and the Flyers are a team that's definitely going to regress as the season's going on. There's no way they're making the playoffs. Look at their forward group. It's abysmal. Everything can line up for the Penguins, but they're going to have to help themselves out a lot here. They're going to need to get going, and they're going to need to go on another win streak like they were a little bit ago. Tonight, they take on the Buffalo Sabres, and tomorrow, the Toronto Maple Leafs. And I do think that both the games are going to be a very good test for them to see where they're finally at. Apparently, yesterday at the Thanksgiving practice, they made changes to the power play units, and it looks like there are going to be some changes coming. They split up Malkin to the second unit and have Crosby on the first, and throw some other players on that first unit with them to try and just keep changing it and see what works. Realistically, though, the Penguins only have so long. If they don't get it figured out by Christmas, this season could be already thrown in the backseat, and it could already be bad. I do think Kyle Dubas isn't going to sit on his hands, though, and if things keep sliding in a bad direction, he's going to go out and make a move. Whether it's a big trade, I don't know. I don't think the Penguins can make a big trade because they don't have much trade capital, but I do think that they'll do something. Whether that's bringing up youths from Wilkes-Barre to try and inject them into the lineup and get something going, I could realistically see that happen, but it all kind of depends what happens here in the next couple weeks. But I know I'm not the only Penguins fan that's had a lot of frustration with the team so far this season. So let me know what you think about the team in the comments below, and I'll respond to you and we can talk about it a little bit in the comments. I'm not sure if anyone would be willing, but I'll gladly talk about the Penguins on a podcast if anyone would be willing to have me on. I love this team, and I want to see them do better, because I know that they're capable of so much more with the amount of talent that they have. If you've made it this far in the video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. We talk about the Penguins and every other team on this channel, so there'll always be something that you enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.